Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game. Big Ten champions. Big Ten champs.
National champions, yes.
Oklahoma City bound. Oregon Ducks.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man.
Boom inside. Touchdown Oregon. He gets loose. Fires. Hit. Pops the three. Oh, yeah. It's all Oregon.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
It's about how to be a group of people that know how to love each other to the absolute fullest.
Pleasure, joy to be with them each and every day. And I can't wait for the future.
It's just fun to be a part of a community that cares, that is passionate, and when we come together, powerful things can happen.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Monday inside the Country Financial Studio.
Go!
And Oregon is hosting a college football playoff game. Ryan Milano,
so
Joey Mack with you, and I've got to tell you, I am so uncomfortable right now because I am in the side desk seat attempting to host the show while Joey has all of the controls over there. He's taken my second monitor, and I am in absolute shambles.
I want everyone to know that Ryan asked me over the weekend. He was like, "Hey, are you gonna come in for the show?" He thought about maybe Chris Clayton comes in for the show after the women's game this weekend. I said, "Ryan, I'll be there for you." Because the Ducks are hosting a CFP game at Autzen Stadium. December 20th, 4:30 is the kick time. That means a 2:30 pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network. It's televised on TNT and HBO Max. The Ducks are hosting a college football playoff game. First time ever at Autzen Stadium, first round of the playoffs.
A big playoff game for Oregon. And really exciting watching the College Football Playoff Committee and the selection show go down. Everybody, I think we all assumed Oregon was going to be the 5 seed after the results on Saturday, but to actually get the designation, to know that there is going to be a home game at Autzen Stadium. Joey, I think that last year was a good litmus test for this 12-team tournament, but I think this year, with Oregon hosting a playoff game, yeah, going on the road to the Rose Bowl was fun, but what's so unique about the 12-team playoff is this first round at the host sites of the lower-rated seeds, and now Oregon's going to get that host playoff game. That's what I think what makes this iteration of the playoff so special.
I like the home-hosted portion of the 12-team format. I've been a fan of it. The environments looked awesome last year, and now the Ducks get a chance to experience it. And we talk about Oregon being a national brand. We talk about what a football game can mean for a larger university and a larger community. There's no better window into University of Oregon athletics and the University of Oregon, and perhaps the state of Oregon, than what the Ducks get when they host 12-seed JMU. James Madison, a very proud team, and I like the fact that a couple people have even started pointing this out. I see one in the YouTube comments. There's a connection between Oregon and JMU through a Big Ten foe in Curt Cignetti's Indiana team. A few of those starters that were really good against Oregon, Indiana earning the number 1 overall seed after winning the Big Ten championship, a lot of Indiana's best players played at JMU for Curt Cignetti. Now Bob Chesney, who will be the UCLA head coach, he will continue with James Madison during this playoff run. 12-seed JMU. I got to tell you, I know there was so much made of the debate in the committee, and here's what I want to say about how this is all done and formatted. Be excited that you're in the playoffs! Oregon and JMU, and also, if you're James Madison, what a tremendous opportunity, and it is not James Madison's fault that the criteria are what they are. So if you're James Madison, you're like, let's go. Let's prove it to everybody. Coming to Autzen Stadium against a team like Oregon. I think this is a fun matchup. The playoff leads to unique matchups like this. First time these two teams have ever played. Oregon, James Madison. The rest of that bracket, by the way, just in case you're wondering, the number 9 seed is Alabama. Oklahoma is 8. That will be the Friday game, the 19th of December. And the Ducks will actually play the final game of the first round, the 4:30 Pacific time kick against James Madison. The 6 versus 11 is Ole Miss against Tulane. That's a rematch of a game that was played earlier this year that Ole Miss won. Yes, I know the coaching carousel spins rapidly. Number 10, Miami, and number 7, Texas A&M are the early game, if you will, on Saturday. So it's the 7:10 game, then the 6:11 game, and then the 5:12 game on Saturday. The Ducks will be the final one, televised on TNT against James Madison. And I know that the Ducks are focused on, right now, James Madison. But it's also worth pointing out that as the 5 seed, Oregon would play the 4 seed in Texas Tech in the next round. That would be at the Orange Bowl. That sounds fun.
I'm excited to first be at Autzen Stadium, and you make a good, interesting point in terms of the way that this college football playoff laid out, and each year of this 12-team model is going to bring some different and unique challenges, and we saw a bit of an adjustment from last year's 12-team model to this year's 12-team model in terms of how they seeded the teams. It's not the top 4 overall conference champions that get the bye. It's now the top 4 overall seed. Imagine if Tulane had a bye in this year's college football playoff, because that's what it would have been under last year's iteration and last year's format. Each year, I think there's going to be some slight tweaks in this infantile sort of stages of this format of the 12-team playoff, but it is a new opportunity for Oregon to be at Autzen Stadium. How do you get to Autzen Stadium to watch the Ducks in this game against James Madison coming up on Saturday, the 20th of December? Well, first, the tickets will go on sale to the public at 2 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow. GoDucks.com/FPTix, 2 p.m. on Tuesday is when those tickets will open up. Also, make sure that you find your way to get to Autzen Stadium for this game. A lot of it is going to operate like a general Oregon home game. Some of it is going to be a little bit different because it is a college football playoff event. If you want to watch, it will be on TNT, HBO Max, and True TV. There will be more information on www.goducks.com/CFP for tickets, parking, and all the other information you need to know in order to get to Autzen Stadium to see the first college football playoff game in Autzen Stadium live. It is a big opportunity for Oregon and a huge game here at Autzen Stadium. Coach Lanning, he's very thrilled about the opportunity. Coach Lanning breaking down the matchup and the early look at JMU throughout his process as he saw the committee slate Oregon as the number 5 team and that 5 seed in the college football playoff. He spoke with the media after he got the designation as the Ducks with the 5 seed. Here's Coach Lanning in his conversation with the media yesterday.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Obviously really excited about this opportunity to face James Madison in a playoff game here at Autzen Stadium. I think our fans are going to be unbelievable. This will be a unique atmosphere that doesn't exist, in the last 20 years, and now you get the opportunity to experience it now. I know our players are excited to play this team. Just really getting started, hopping in and evaluating these guys. Been able to watch them a little bit this afternoon. Obviously, they got a really talented team. Coach Chesney's done a really good job with these guys. They've been really successful in several games. Just looking through it this morning, I think they've had 9 games where they rushed for over 200 yards, and that's a common component for them and their success. Played really good defense and really good special teams. So excited about the opportunity and can open it up for questions.
I would love to ask you about Dante Moore. We had talked before the season about him, and you described him using the words poise, calm, swagger. You highlighted his arm talent. And now it's nearly 6 months later, so much as that has shown up. But in what ways do you think that he's maybe changed?
Yeah, I just think the maturity of time, we started this season with a lot of guys, Dante being one of them, that experiences had been limited, and we got to see a lot of action in practice, but now that experience is no longer limited. You've seen a guy win a game for us in overtime. You've seen a guy create 2-minute drives that turned in success for our team. You see a guy that's won over his teammates, so many people fighting for positions throughout the season. He's a person that stepped up and has great maturity, a great disposition that I think shown up for us throughout the season.
Dan, no first round bye this year, but you still have 3 weeks between the last time you played and this time. Last year it was 25 days between your last game to the Rose Bowl. What did you learn from that time and getting players fresh and healthy, but also trying to keep them in the mode and not letting rust build?
Yeah, there's some benefits to how this has played out potentially this year, just with class wrapping up. A lot of those things have been a piece of this that our players are dealing with, finishing up classes, finals, giving them an opportunity to have a little bit of a reset. This past week for us was really more lifts and just an opportunity to attack the classroom and get a little bit of a break from us, which I think is a positive. And then able to reset in this next coming week into what it'll look like moving forward. So certainly some lessons learned. I won't share all of those, but taking a little bit different approach to some of the things we attacked this season.
I don't know how often you've watched JMU play football on TV this year or prep for it. So I guess just how do you kind of build a plan and build the scouting report? What's the process like for an opponent that maybe you haven't even watching for another team's preparation?
Yeah, really, Matt, no different than every other team that we prepare for. You're usually so focused on the team that you're currently playing that you're not watching a lot of other college games throughout the season. So as the film gets uploaded on your system, you start breaking them down and you try to take an opportunity to go back and watch those. And that's what we've already started today. So process is really no different. Evaluate the film that you see, attack what you see, try to talk to some people that have maybe played common opponents, see what opinions they have on that team, and break it down just like a normal week.
Hey, Coach Dan, this is Chris Idell from Hermiton in Baltimore. I covered JMU back in the days in the CAA and all that stuff. What do they look like now? Because they have a very good running game because they put 300 yards on against Troy on that title game. Do you think that's one of the things you got to work on and keep that two-headed monster from, making this game a long game?
Yeah, that's certainly one of the things that we noticed, Chris, right this morning, going back and watching the film, evaluating them, that they run the ball really well. I think they've got a good system in place to make sure they're running runs that create success. It's going to be something we have to prepare ourselves to stop.
Dan, just take us into your weekend from Friday night. How much were you watching both the Tulane game? Because at that time, that looked like the greater likelihood for opponent versus the JMU game. And then last night, how tuned in were you to the ACC championship and obviously the ramifications that had?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit more like a fan like you guys. I was just flipping channels, watching football all weekend. It was awesome. I guess that's what people get to do on a normal Saturday. But yeah, we watched all of them. Watched Tulane, watched a little bit of JMU, watched each game that was on. So it was fun to be able to sit back and watch and evaluate.
Yeah, Dan, you talked about how unbelievable the fans have been all year. And you mentioned that this game is in the middle of winter break. A lot of students are already planning to head home, already bought tickets. Just do you have a pitch, a message to them to tell them, hey, you should stay to watch this game?
No, I don't think I have to create a pitch. Our fans are going to show out for this game. There's zero doubt in my mind that they'll be there. Well, if it's not a student, it'll be another Oregon fan that's in there. But they don't want to miss the opportunity to see the one playoff game in Autzen Stadium. That hasn't happened before. So I think we'll have a lot of fans there ready to support it and ready to see that myself.
Dan, there have been reports about some promotions in-house. I want to ask you to confirm that unless you'd like to do that here for us. But what would make Drew and Chris good candidates to be coordinators?
Yeah, I'm not going to hop on that right now. Certainly appreciate it. There's going to be great opportunities for a lot of guys within our staff, but that's not the focus of this talk.
You guys have obviously navigated the coast-to-coast travel in the Big Ten remarkably well these first 2 years. But when you just consider your draw in this playoff, how do you see the potential of 3 cross-country trips in 3 weeks?
Well, if anybody's prepared for it, Bill, it's us. We've done it a lot, and I think we travel really well. We'll try to keep the routine as much, as simple as possible, and as much like normal games that we've done in the past. But before we ever get to that point, we got to take care of business here.
I apologize if you want to keep this on college football playoff, but we have not had a chance to talk to you about Jalen Lott and Kendra Harrison since they signed. So I was curious if you could tell me about their recruitment and what's special about them, and understand if you want to focus on the playoff game instead.
Yeah, certainly want to focus on the playoff game, but we were able to add some elite players, and those are 2 guys that are certainly worthy of that discussion. You watch what they've done for their teams, what they were able to create with their high school teams. Kendra is a guy I got to see in person play, set school records there for touchdowns. Obviously a huge target in the red area, but also a guy that can carry the ball. He does a lot of different stuff. And then same thing for Jalen. He's a guy that got multiple touches. His speed. I think everyone recognized his catch radius, his ability. It just shows up consistently on film, and certainly a guy that has a lot of versatility for his team. We're hoping to carry that over here to Oregon.
With just the college football playoffs in general, with the expansion, you get some unique matchups this season for you guys. Definitely a unique one taking on JMU. What are your thoughts just about the way the playoffs are set up and providing that unique touch and the unique matchups to the game of college football?
Yeah, I mean, it's creating some opportunities that this game would probably never exist. Well, there'll never really be a situation we play a team like James Madison. So it's unique in the way that it's set up. It's the college football playoff itself. It takes away some excitement of some of these other bowl games. I think we're all seeing it now today where teams are dropping out right and left. It's great to be a team that's getting an opportunity to continue to play ball right now. And while these are unique matchups, that these are fun. It's fun to be a part of something. It's a little bit more of a March Madness feel nowadays than football. It's changed a little bit.
Dan, you've been a part of some pretty cool stuff in your time there with Oregon. So what opportunity is this? What excites you just to be able to have a home game here at Autzen for the first time in the playoffs?
Yeah, first one ever. So that's the exciting piece, to get the chance to do something that hasn't been done here before. I know our players are really excited about it. I know our fans will, again, create an incredible atmosphere. I think this is an opportunity for the whole world to kind of see a little bit about what makes Autzen special. So I'm anticipating that energy and enthusiasm there. I think we all got to see some cool games last year in similar formats. So I think that'll be a special opportunity to peel back the layers and let people see what makes this place so special.
You were in Will's and Tosh's shoes 4 years ago in coaching both sides. I guess what did you learn about that process, and how can you help them, and how can you maybe change a little bit for them to help you a little bit more?
Yeah, it's a tough position to be in, but it's one that's really rewarding. The hard part is just not being able to be boots on the ground there and being here, and focusing on what's going on here, because the reality is you have to be able to do a job here, and you have to be present for that job. So the hard part is doing that, knowing that you're not going to be able to be somewhere else. You got to have people you trust there, but there'll be a lot of conversations between now and the end of this thing for those guys to be able to make sure they maximize that opportunity.
Dan, how familiar are you or not with Bob Chesney? Is he somebody who you've either crossed paths with? I know he's got a couple of staffers who spent some time in the SEC while you were there, and if not them directly, obviously with Billy taking over for him and having nothing else to do at the moment, I imagine he could be helping them in some way, and I know you're familiar with him.
Yeah, not a lot of familiarity beyond what I've been able to watch this morning. Haven't worked with him before, but I am familiar with his path and being able to follow him and the success that he's had, and obviously he's done an unbelievable job.
Dan, how would you describe how DeCorian Moore has attacked his rehab, and then just some of the leadership that he's been able to show while he hasn't been on the field?
Yeah, I think it starts with mindset, and DeCorian, like several of the other guys that have been in that position, realize that they have a job to do as far as pushing themselves to be back in a position where they can help this team, and they can still help this team even when they're not out there on the field necessarily for us. So really proud of how he's handled that. Proud with several of those guys and how they've handled that situation.
Hey, Dan, I have a question for you. With all these teams opting out in these bowl games, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think getting 15 days of extra practice is good for any team this time of year.
Yeah, it's certainly changed, Chris. I can't speak to anybody else's situation but ours. I would say it doesn't look the same as it's ever looked, especially when the portal opens in January as well. You used to be able to use this time, and it's almost like another spring practice. You were used to be able to get more high school seniors or guys that joined your team in to be able to practice. A lot of that stuff's changed a little bit. So this is a unique time, in that frame, and I certainly can't speak to anybody else's situation.
Another question for you, Dan, about just kind of the Autzen experience. I guess what is your message to fans who are kind of, I guess, rearing for the opportunity, and maybe you mentioned it up in Seattle, maybe the weather becomes interesting. Kind of what are your expectations for just the whole thing?
It's going to be a great atmosphere. The 10-day forecast around here never necessarily holds true, so we'll see what that looks like as we prepare ourselves. But one thing I know I can count on is Autzen fans to make this a really fun experience for our student athletes. We went out there on senior day, and I remember talking to some of our players saying, I hope this isn't the last opportunity we get to play on this field. Well, now all those seniors get an opportunity to do it one more time here, which is really special.
Coach, throughout the course of the season, there have been games where you said, just don't treat it differently. I think about the rivalry game against Washington. Don't treat it different than another game. You always preach, play the game, not the moment. But it feels like the playoffs have a little bit of a different feel, especially since it's win or go home. How do you keep the same mentality to make sure your players know to treat this like a regular game, or do you tell them not to treat this bigger?
Yeah, good question, Jack. I mean, ultimately, the process is the part you have to focus on, and the process has to be very similar to a normal game. But the stakes are certainly really high, knowing that this is, if you don't take care of business, you don't get a redo, you don't get another opportunity. So there is a difference. But I think the piece for us is to focus on what allows you to have success and what creates the result you want, and that's maintaining that process.
When will that process be beginning this week for you guys, Dan? It looked like a lot of the players took the opportunity to take the weekend and either go back home or go elsewhere. When will the team be reconvening and practices beginning this week?
Yeah, everybody will be back tomorrow, and we'll be rolling on Tuesday.
You've talked all year about your ability to win games in different ways to kind of, play in the game against Iowa or the shootout against USC. When you now face a more national landscape of teams, Big 12 teams, SEC, whatever it be, how much confidence does that give you that you can play different styles of football and still find success?
Yeah, I have a lot of confidence in our team. I think it's about all three phases being strong. When you get towards the end of the season, I don't think you can be a team that relies on one thing to have success. You got to be a team that can open it up and do it in different ways. I think we've certainly done that this year. What you hope is that all three phases come together in these games and make a big impact.
That's Coach Dan Lanning and his initial thoughts of the matchup. Quick YouTube question from AC Ducks fan. I assume there will be in-venue live audio, no delay. Yes.
GoDucks.com/in-venue audio will still exist for a home playoff game. Those of you who have used it, I understand that cell service at Autzen Stadium is what it is. Those of you who have used it, though, the feedback has been great. We've used it on the road a couple times. I'm really happy with how this – we were the first school to do this, to have, no delay broadcasts on your phone. Really happy with how it went, and I hope that everyone really enjoyed it. We're hoping to continue doing it more, and there was one game we had about 1,000 people that wwilliams tuned in at one time at Autzen, which was pretty cool to hear from you all, so thank you.
Yeah, it's been great to have the live in-venue audio. You just heard from Dan Lanning, his initial thoughts, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute. Better cancer care close to home. Our initial thoughts. We've had about a day to dig in. Oregon, James Madison. We'll get to those just after this timeout. You're listening to Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, non-profit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working in our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously. The best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Ryan Milano, Joey Mack here with you on Duck Insider here on a Monday, talking about the college football playoff where Oregon and James Madison will meet up in the 12-5 game. The Ducks, the 5 seed. It'll be the last game of round 1, December 20th at 4:30 Pacific time here at Autzen Stadium. And Joey, I just want your overall thoughts on the bracket as a whole, because I think Oregon, I think a 5 seed is deserved for Oregon at this point. The best team that does not get a bye. I think that accurately represents Oregon's body of work this season.
Too, and you alluded to the change this year compared to last year with how the seeding was done. It was just true 1 through 12 with the auto bids going to the highest ranked conference, any conference champ, right? That's it's criteria here because the Sun Belt champ is coming to Autzen Stadium, right? I think it sets up great for Oregon. And Indiana and Ohio State demonstrated that the Big Ten, I think, has probably the most elite teams out there, right? Like, it's a missed field goal is the difference in that game. The Ducks know what that feels like. Ask them a few years ago against Washington, right? Sometimes those really high-pressure situations are what lead to the confirmation that teams are really good. And I think Oregon, having faced Indiana, we know how good Indiana is, deserved that Big Ten title. The Ducks know how talented and how good Ohio State is. And then I think Texas Tech demonstrated, hey, that's the best team from that conference, which is a power conference. Georgia got its revenge against Alabama. That's why Georgia's there. I saw some people saying Georgia should be 2, right? And Ohio State should drop down to 3. But it was a 3-point game in the championship. I thought the 2 best teams played in the Big Ten championship. So I'm with you. Oregon as the 5. The path sets up great. One thing that's, I think, important is that the Cotton Bowl is not the site for the Ducks potentially in the 4 versus 5 game.
Absolutely.
Again, Coach Lanning. Yes, Oregon is focusing on James Madison. The broadcast team is just having a little fun looking ahead a bit to the quarterfinals. But Texas Tech in Florida, not in their own backyard in the state of Texas in the Cotton Bowl, I think that could be a lot of fun. And then you got to play Indiana in the semis.
Yeah. And, I think to your point, too, in terms of the best teams coming out of the Big Ten, the last 2 national champions have come out of the Big Ten, and there have been different Big Ten champions in those years as well. And you look at a team like Georgia who, you're right, got their revenge against Alabama in the SEC. And Texas Tech proved in the Big 12 that they could beat the second-best team in the Big 12 in BYU twice. And for Oregon, I think this works out really well because you don't have to play a Big Ten team in a potential second round if you do get the job done against James Madison, unlike what happened last year where Oregon had to have a regular season rematch against Ohio State. Now the Ducks can play a fresh opponent, and it's always more difficult to beat a team twice in the course of the same season.
It is.
Oregon found that out the hard way last year. Well, this time around, there has been recent history against Dan Lanning and Texas Tech all the way back to the opener 2 years ago on the road.
Silver Wings.
Jeffrey Bossa, what a play.
What a
my
play.
goodness. Every time Oregon comes out in those chrome helmets, I flash back to the Silver Wings.
And that was the beginning, by the way, of this Texas Tech run. There's been lots of conversation about how Texas Tech has built its roster under Joey McGuire, who I have a lot of respect for as a head coach, coming up in the Texas high school football ranks mostly. I mean, people forget that game going back was kind of the beginning of, oh no, this is a Texas Tech team that's here for the long haul now. And that's what makes, I think, these 12-team playoffs so fun, because you get more and more matchups like that. These unique matchups that lead, like an Oregon and James Madison, a Big Ten team playing a Sun Belt team in the month of December. That's not something that we would have talked about even 2 years ago, much less what we get to see now, which is fun.
No, and it is very fun. It's very fun that it's at the Orange Bowl and an opportunity to have a neutral site game. But first, Oregon does have to win this game against James Madison. And Oregon, I think, has put in a resume to deserve to be here, but so has James Madison.
Agreed.
They are a team. I've seen a lot of comparisons online to James Madison being similar to like a Montana State or an Idaho. I think they're better than that.
They are better than that. And just think about the Sun Belt transition for James Madison, right? So this team, within the last decade, was playing at the FCS level. Well, there's a reason that they're at the FBS level. And Oregon has some experience with a team that's gone through something like this. Remember Liberty? Right? Liberty went through a transition up to this level of college football and was able to maintain success. I think James Madison's a good team. Just look at what their head coach has done. The last 2 head coaches have done. Curt Cignetti just won a Big Ten title. 2 years ago, he takes the Indiana job, right? Another Big Ten team is getting Bob Chesney. He's going to be the head coach at UCLA, spending a couple days in L.A. here now before returning to coach James Madison through this playoff run. This is a good team because Bob Chesney has built them, and Curt Cignetti previously built them to be a good team. James Madison's identity is running the ball and stopping the run. Does that sound familiar? I just asked Mike Jorgensen. That's how you build good teams.
That's exactly how you build good teams, and it's the infrastructure for James Madison. They're a team that even when they were at the FCS level in the CAA, they were winning that conference. They were the 1 seed and the top 4 seed throughout the FCS playoffs throughout the entirety of their time in the FCS. They won multiple national championships. That's why they got the promotion to move up to the FBS, and they've made a very quick transition because not just from a coaching standpoint, but in terms of an entire athletic department standpoint, standpoint, they have had the infrastructure in order to compete and transition to the highest level. And I want to emphasize even more on the comparison between a team like Montana State and a team like James Madison, and how James Madison, they are a competitive opponent. And this is going to be a little bit of nerd football talk, so bear with me for a second.
I'm ready.
The Sagarin ratings are a rating system that I look at a lot because we do have so unique matchups here in the college football playoff. It's so hard to compare. How do you compare a Sun Belt team that doesn't play any of the teams in the Big Ten to some of these Big Ten opponents? Well, in the Sagarin ratings, James Madison is the 28th ranked team in the country, so they should be sitting right around the top 25. You look at a team like Montana State, they're the second highest FCS team. Oregon should be credited with playing a good team in that Montana State matchup, but they're the 54th ranked team in the Sagarin ratings. James Madison.
Where's Oregon?
Oregon's number 4.
Yeah.
Oregon.
Good number.
James Madison likens a lot closer to teams like Iowa, Washington, and USC, who are all in the back end of the teens in the Sagarin ratings, than they do to a team like Montana State. Yep. All that to say, this is a James Madison team that is strong, that is deserved to be here, that even though they do play in a weaker conference in the group of 5, has been battle-tested through their non-conference schedule, and has a analytical ranking that is deserving of them being in this college football playoff, and they are not a pushover team that Oregon should take lightly.
Before Louisville went through all of its injuries, Louisville played James Madison. Louisville was down to James Madison 14-6 early in the second half. James Madison ultimately lost that game. Louisville came back and won. But the proof's in the pudding there. James Madison can run the ball, a dual-threat quarterback in Alonzo Barnett, making his 27th start at James Madison. An interesting story. He's gone through an ACL tear about a year ago, almost to the day, and now is quarterbacking this team both with his arm and with his legs. Wayne Knight over 1,200 yards on the ground. They like to run the ball. Scoring offense at 37.3 points per game. That's 10th nationally. A rushing offense at over 245 yards per game. That's 6th nationally. They can run the ball.
And I'm glad you brought up the two kind of offensive threats here for James Madison, because I liken them to two Big Ten opponents, one of which Oregon played, one of which Oregon didn't get the chance to play this individual player. But for Alonzo Barnett III, I liken him a lot to a DeMond Williams of Washington.
Good call.
Somebody that can throw the ball downfield, but also can utilize his legs. He's had 13 rushing touchdowns this season, has Barnett. Oregon, with Mateo Uiagalelei and Tatum Tuioti, did a really strong job of caging DeMond Williams up in Washington. I think that same cage, in order to keep the quarterback as not a dual threat, as a single threat quarterback, that is going to be a big key in this game against James Madison. You also talk about their running back. 1,300 rushing yards coming off of a 200-plus yard performance for Wayne Knight. He's somebody who stayed at James Madison throughout his entire career, but he worked his way up from being somebody who was a lower recruited prospect, buried on the depth chart, worked his way up to now where he's a Hornig finalist and he is one of the best running backs statistically in the entire country.
Yep.
To me, that reads a lot what Wayman Jordan was doing for USC before Jordan got hurt for the Trojans. He was one of Jordan, the best running backs at the JUCO level. It didn't have the type of talent comparison up against him that he was playing against, but he was talented. Moves to USC, and early in the season before he got hurt was tearing up the non-conference and the early Big Ten. I liken that. It's a little bit of a different path, but the career trajectory, I think, is very similar to the way that Wayne Knight has had his trajectory grow here at James Madison. So those two offensive threats, I think, are going to be very big for Oregon in order to contain, and it's going to be strength on strength with the rushing offense of James Madison, which has been one of the best rushing offenses in the country, and the rushing defense of Oregon, which is top 20 in the country.
Top 20 in the country. Total defense, the Ducks are 4th in the country at 251 yards per game. So the Ducks give up less yards per game than James Madison averages just on the ground. Right? I mean, you think about that strength on strength, I'm with you. I think it's a fun matchup. You can't overlook James Madison. I think that's our point that we're making. And that's a Dukes team, Ducks and Dukes, by the way. That's a Dukes team that's going to come in and have nothing to lose. I mean, Bob Chesney, is telling them, all right, last ride. Right? I mean, That's what this is supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be all about.
And you look at what Kurt Cignetti has done at Indiana coming from James Madison, and a lot of those players at Indiana now were James Madison developed products.
That's right.
Now you're sort of getting the same thing under Coach Chesney, where they might not be the highest starred recruits. They might not be the most talented coming out of high school, but the development is in place where we've seen these players that have played at James Madison be impact players and dangerous players at the Big Ten level. This is the same type of cyclical process that James Madison is going through because they have the infrastructure in place. I think we'll probably end up seeing a lot of the guys that Oregon sees coming up on December 20th, play in conference at UCLA coming up next year, but that's next season. This is a team that develops talent really well, despite the fact that they're not getting the 5-star recruits coming out of high school. It's a well-run, fundamental program, and Oregon is going to have their hands full against James Madison in round 1 of the playoffs.
Now, all that said, Oregon's a good team.
Really good team.
We spend so much time on this program talking about that, though, that it's nice to think about, hey, this is a team that is going to be happy to come to Autzen Stadium and is a good team, has put together a good resume. I look forward to it. Going to be fun.
Yeah, and the environment. Should have some James Madison fans, but also Oregon fans, Autzen Stadium home game.
Yep.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Parking lot's open at 10:30. Everything will be like a standard home game, by the way, with parking lots opening at 10:30, 4:30 kick on Saturday. That means a 2:30 pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network.
Getting a timeout, continuing to talk about the action that we saw throughout the weekend when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, Jan from Toyota with a holiday message. Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon is on.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota-thon ends January 5th. See your participating dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hi, Jan from Toyota with a holiday message. Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon, Toyota-thon is on.
Dealer inventory may vary. Toyota-thon ends January 5th. See your participating dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my heart in Oregon.
It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union here inside the Country Financial Studio. Ryan Milano, Joey Mack here with you, breaking down the basketball from the weekend down in Los Angeles. Tough results for Oregon, 0-2 weekend for both the men and the women. Well, 0-1 weekend for both. But I think a strong effort, especially for the women through this point in the season. Sure, an 80-59 loss against a very talented UCLA team.
Six pros on that team.
There are no moral victories around here, but this is a UCLA team that is one of the most talented in the country. And I think there are some things to take away from this game where, yes, especially in the first half, Oregon did not play well. You can't score 8 points in the first quarter and expect to win. You can't give up 30 points in the second quarter and expect to win. But I really liked the fight that Oregon showed in the second half. They outscored UCLA in the second half, and for a team that in Oregon is cohesive, a ton of returners, but a lot of also still developing returners. You think about a Hisa Tute, a Katie Fiso, some underclassmen that are continuing to develop. This is really their first taste of real experience against top talent around the country where they are those high-impact players on this Oregon roster. It was important to see, I think for me, both Fiso and Atute put up 14 points, be able to compete, especially in the second half against UCLA.
I agree. I think that, again, no moral victories, but you'll hear it in Coach Graves' voice. He's never going to shy away from these things. I'm with you.
No, an honest Coach Kelly Graves. Also, congratulations are in order for Mia Barnett, her 1,500th career point in this game against UCLA. Congratulations to her. A lot of those at Fresno State, closing up her career here at Oregon. Big accomplishment as she scored 11 points in the matchup. Kelly Graves, his thoughts after Oregon went up against UCLA. A loss for Oregon, 80-59, but a strong second half. Coach Kelly Graves spoke with Chris Clayton. An honest reaction from KG after the loss down in Los Angeles.
Now we're joined by Ducks head coach Kelly Graves. Coach, thanks for taking the time.
I really apologize.
Oh, that's all right.
I was making some travel arrangements there, so I apologize.
It's all good.
But yeah, good to be with you. You know, we're disappointed. We didn't play well enough in the first half. I liked our effort and execution. We were much better in the second half, but you just can't dig that kind of a hole against that kind of team. They're a great team. I mean, they really are. They're a great team. Lauren Bett's the best player in the country. Yeah. And she was a load, and we tried to devise this game plan to slow her down with our zone defense, and it backfired. We didn't. I thought we were thinking too much, and we weren't just reacting and playing, and I think that cost us second half. We played them a lot more just straight up, and did better because of it. So I learned a lesson as a coach, but yeah, we're disappointed, but it's good to get this game out of the way. They do this to a lot of teams.
Yep.
And we had some good positives to build on. I thought, Ahis came in and did a great job today. She battled, man.
Yeah.
And hasn't practiced much this entire week, but she battled, and and Katie had her moments tonight. I thought early on we were all just on our heels a little bit. We were a little tentative. I think we were intimidated, and we played like it. But second half, it was a different game.
And for Ahisa Tute, another strong game, like you said, when you see her get a stop, get a rebound, and run all the way the other way, get a spin move layup, do you empower her to do that, to say when she get the rebound, go ahead and take it up yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. We want her to be aggressive like that in the open court. I think we've become pretty point guard centric and, in transition, and I think it's better if we can, have others do that. It alleviates a little bit of pressure on Katie to always bring it up and always initiate the offense. But Ahis is a really good player. I mean, she is a really good player. She's super strong and aggressive, and I think we're just scratching her surface of how good she can be.
You win the second half, you come out of this game, the UCLA team is probably going to beat up a lot of people in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
What are the positives you can take from this and use the rest of non-conference?
Well, I think we showed in the second half, and I get it. We were up 30 on the Beavers the other day. They won the second half, right? We won this second half, but it just shows that we can play with them. Maybe they lost a little intensity, kind of like we did against the Beavers. But at the same time, I think we can compete. I'm glad we got this road trip out of the way. There aren't many people going to come in here and beat these guys here. In fact, probably nobody.
No, I don't think so
and,
either.
now we don't have this trip anymore. Now, like I said, I'm not into moral victories, right? We feel bad, and we should feel bad because we didn't win the game, but it was going to be a tough win anyway. We would have had to play, just phenomenal basketball. Maybe not quite perfect, but phenomenal basketball, and we didn't. But yeah, so things we can learn is, hey, we can play if we take a deep breath, like I'm right now. Take a deep breath and execute our stuff and space the floor. We can play. We can play. There's no question.
So now you get a week off.
Yeah.
Before Montana State, and it's finals week for the players, right?
It is, yeah. So we fly back here in a bit, and then we'll take tomorrow. I think is just going to be a run, lift, and shoot day. It's basically just to blow off some steam. I think that's important, especially for the kids that didn't play much today. They need a good workout tomorrow, but it's not an organized practice. And then Tuesday and Wednesday we'll take off so they can study, and then that gives us Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday will be kind of another run, lift, and shoot day, but it'll give us Friday and Saturday to prepare for a good Montana State team. I don't know what their record is, but
5-2.
5-2, and they beat Colorado on the road, and Colorado's a good team, and they're picked to win that Big Sky, and I think it was unanimous. They're a good team, so we've got our work cut out for us. But it'll be nice to be back in the friendly confines,
right?
Of Matthew Knight Arena, and I think our kids will be fresh. It'll give everybody a chance to kind of get heal up a little bit.
Safe
And, we wish them the best on their finals.
Yeah, safe travels.
Student athlete, buddy.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank
What do you mean safe travels?
Well, travel safe.
Oh. Well, I'm traveling with you.
I'm traveling with, but it doesn't. It's not about me. People don't always know that.
It is about
I try
you,
to
buddy.
separate myself.
You are the conduit between our team and the Duck fans. You're it. It goes through you. So hopefully you painted a picture tonight.
I tried.
Of a game better than it was on the court.
Yeah. I try to balance being honest and also being positive.
We're going to keep working to get better, bud.
That's right. Thank you, sir.
All right, man.
I think that's a new nickname.
So great.
I think it's a new nickname for Chris, the Conduit.
The Conduit. We finally have Chris's nickname.
The Conduit.
Go to break. I have to think about this.
All right. First off, apology to Mia Jacobs. I said Mia Barnett, the track and field athlete. We'll talk about track and field in a second. Mia Jacobs, 1,500 points. We are going to break, talking about men's basketball down in Los Angeles when we return on Duck Inside on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
When life blindsides you with an injury, you need a team that's tough. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics. Because whether it's on the field or in the courtroom, we're both determined to do what it takes to win. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial pound law. Morgan & Morgan, 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will. Don't forget to say yeah.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Ryan Milano, Joey Mack here with you on Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union, talking about Oregon men's basketball down in Los Angeles playing UCLA. 74-63, the end result for Oregon. The Ducks have lost this game to UCLA, starting 0-2 in Big Ten play, lost 5 in a row. Ducks looking to climb out of their hole as they continue to move through the early portions of Big Ten play and the late portions of non-conference play. The Ducks were without KJ Evans in this game. Nate Biddle still a little bit dinged up in this game, but Oregon still, Dana Altman, got to play better, especially in conference, especially when you get on the road. The quick initial thoughts from Coach Altman after Oregon lost 74-63 down at UCLA.
Well, Coach, I'm sure that it's a frustrated locker room. Had some bright spots, but ultimately not enough to get it done. What were your takeaways today?
Yeah, we're just still making too many mistakes. Inbound defense, we just didn't cover it the way we wanted to. A couple big offensive rebounds they got, when we had it down. A couple bad turnovers. So some positives. We played really hard second half. Our ball movement, and lack of playmakers. We had the ball in Jackson, way too much. And, that floor was spread. We needed somebody to penetrate. And, we just maybe don't have the personnel to do it the way we need to. But they shot 55% the first half, 30 the second. That was a real positive. Our defense was much better. Our interior defense was much better. Took away some of their three opportunities. But again, we played hard that second half. We just made too many mistakes again. And, it's that time of year. It's December 6th already. We've played 8-9 games. At some point in time, we got to cut down some of our mistakes. And, again, Nate coming back, just played 20-some minutes. He had 10 days off. He just practiced yesterday. You could tell he was sluggish. KJ doesn't play, but those are excuses. You still got to find a way. You got plenty of personnel. Got to find a way, and we just didn't do it.
Yeah, you hear it in Coach Altman's voice that they're frustrated because they haven't had a consistent rhythm, right? Nate Biddle's been banged up. He tries to come back. It doesn't make a shot from the floor. Jackson Shellstet's hurt to lead into the season. Now KJ Evans was ill for this game. This team just needs everybody to get healthy, on the same page, and I'm hoping that this finals week and some extra practice heading into Pit Crew alumni game coming up on Saturday will be worth it.
You're right. I do think that this week, where it is finals week, the student athletes get to focus on being students first and then can get healthy so that they can be more cohesive as athletes. Devon Pryor's missed a game for Oregon. It's just felt like early in the season it's been a little disjointed from an availability front, and then with the chemistry that this team is going to be able to build with a few days off here, I think is going to be vital for Oregon moving forward throughout the rest of this non-conference season as we go into Big Ten play. Hasn't been the start that Oregon basketball has wanted to the season. It has been a strong start for Oregon indoor track and field, who had their first meet over the weekend. Talking about track and field in Boston when we return on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial.
Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano, Joey Mack here with you as Oregon Indoor Track and Field started up their season. A strong close to cross-country season for Oregon in the runners and cross-country, and now into the middle of the 3 seasons on the track. It feels like Oregon is picking up where they left off at the Sharon Collier Danville opener at Boston University. 2 school records and a champion over the course of the weekend. Simeon Birnbaum set a new school record in the 3,000 meter, a 7:39.65, setting the new mark and replacing King Ches.
Dude, when you take Edward Cheserik's name down a spot in the record book, that's saying something. Edward Cheserik won more NCAA titles than anyone in history. Not just at Oregon. NCAA titles. Pretty amazing from Simeon Birnbaum.
Simeon Birnbaum about 0.8 of a second over the previous record that Edward Cheserek held from the 2016 Melrose Games. That's what it is in track and field. Razor-thin margins. Also in a distance event, the 5,000 meter, Deanna Cheritich, a 15:16.72, set the new record for Oregon by nearly 9 seconds, past Carmela Cardama Baez and her 15:25.41 from the same meet 7 years ago.
7 years ago, yeah. 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
6 years ago, yeah.
But it's the second UO record for Cheritich, who already has the 10,000 meter title. Some distance events at Oregon. No surprise after the way that the cross-country season finished that the distance events are thriving.
No, I think that what Oregon has demonstrated is why Coach Schumacher and Coach Lanning were building the rosters the way they were. You're starting to see the build now. It's working.
Congratulations as well to James Harding for winning the men's mile at that BU opener. And Joey, tomorrow on the show, we'll have Athletic Director Tuesday. So much more, but I won't be here. Go Ducks, everybody.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga. My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of